Okay, no problem. I'll conduct in English as well. So let's start the session. I'm going to share my screen. Just let me know if you can see my screen, guys. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for the confirmation. So in this particular session, we are going to see how what are the steps or how can be a full stack developer, right? That is the core thing in this session. And I'm going to also tell you the advantages and also some disadvantages and some career tips, whatever that it is, right? As I told you, I am myself as a full stack developer, so I know all the challenges. It's not that I work in a different field and I've come to you with this particular topic and say, okay, do this and do that. I have done a lot of trials like this and that, and I have come up with a plan which you guys can follow. It will make your life easier if you aspire to be a developer, a backend or a front end or a full stack developer, right? Now let's move on with the presentation. Now, who is a full stack developer? I mean, it's a person who can do anything, right? I mean, it can develop front end application using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, whatever, and it can also that person can also handle backend topics as well, like interacting with the databases or calling an API or creating an API, whatever, right? It can also handle DevOps as well. We're going to see what all these terms are, so don't worry about it. So a full stack developer is nothing but a person who is capable of developing anything in simple layman terms. Now, why a full stack developer? Now, before this Gen AI, Chat GPT, ये सब जो चल रहा है आजकल, because all these things have come in, right? So you have heard so many news, right? Like developers are being laid off. इतना सारे layoff हो जा रहे companies में. A lot of jobs are lost. Now, the what is the main crucial reason behind it? The crucial reason behind it is that key companies now want more from its employees. Now, before 10, 15 years, what was happening is that if someone is being hired for a backend developer or a Java developer, right, for a specific role, that person used to work on that technologies only, right? He was a master of that technology and used to work on that. But nowadays, due to this Chat GPT, Gen AI, machine learning, all of these concepts, companies think that, okay, why do I need a specialty, a backend developer, especially a backend developer or especially a front end developer? I want that person, whoever I'm hiring, to be able to do both. And that person should be able to leverage Chat GPT or Gen AI and all these things to do both of these tasks. If you are upskilling yourself and you are challenging yourself and telling yourself that, okay, I can do both, I can do front end, I can do UI, UX, I can also do back end development, and companies will prefer you because you are an all-rounder, you can say. Now, another question comes into my mind that agar मैं full stack developer बनता हूँ, if I am a full stack developer, I have to be like, what do you say? Key master of both front end and back end. Yes, you need to know front end and back end and other things as well, but you can choose a specialty. Like myself, I am a full stack developer with a specialty in back end technologies, like in Java. It just means that I am more skilled in the back end side of the development, but it doesn't mean that I cannot do front end. So if you guys are worried that I have to do both, कि तुझे दोनों नाव पे पैर रखना है, that kind of stuff, then you don't get worried. You choose yourself a specialty, whatever you like. Like if you like front end development, आपको web pages design करना या फिर ये सब design करना बहुत पसंद है, then you can choose front end as a specialty, and side by side you can learn back end development as well. It will not be a strong suit, but still you can do it. I hope that is making sense, guys. Now, what are the steps that you should choose? Like, what is the step by step? I'm considering that whoever is attending this session is a complete beginner, like from a college or whatever, right? So, what are the steps? कि एक sequential steps में अगर आप ये सब चीजें करेंगे, because becoming a full stack developer is a very long process, right? So sometimes people what they do is they see a lot of things and they get overwhelmed. कि उनको लगता है कि ये तो बहुत ज्यादा है, I cannot do all of these things at once. So if you go step by step, right? Step by step, अपना time लीजिए 6 महीना, 8 महीना, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, how much time you need, and complete this entire cycle. At the end of it, you will be a developer who has a lot of projects, a lot of skill, and a lot of other things which a company desires, which a job actually desires in now age. Now, the first step is choosing a GP language or a general purpose language. A general purpose language, what it is it's a language in which you will do your basic coding, right? I mean, if someone comes to you in an interview, someone comes to you and asks a question, can you write a program to print? It's a very easy question. Just an example, even numbers from 1 to 10. Now you should be knowing one language that is your strong language, or whatever that is a base language in which you will write this program. Whatever question may come to you, you must have a general purpose in language which you would use to actually write the code. So we have a lot of languages over here. We have Python, we have Java, we have JavaScript, C++, Scala, JavaScript, C Sharp, whatever, right? So you need to choose one of these languages. For example, my general purpose language or my strongest language is Java over here, right? Because my specialty is backend development using Java. So I started with Java and I'm continuing with it. But side by side, as I'm also a front-end developer now, I have also learned JavaScript. So first of all, you start with by picking one language. I'm not saying you start अब सब कर लो एकदम से मतलब पूरा सब फाड़ देना, ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं. You start with one language and whatever you like over here, you can choose. Now, in my opinion, if you ask me कि कौन सा language हमको choose करना चाहिए, I will suggest you start with Java because it is a very structured language. समझने में आसानी होती है. It's very simple to understand and it's a very good starting place to start. Okay, first is choose a general purpose language. I think if you want to choose, you can go with Java or Python or JavaScript, whatever. Okay. Now, second thing is once you learn a language, second thing is data, right? Whatever data, whatever website you go nowadays, everything is done with data, right? Now, if you have data, you need to store it somewhere, right? And you will store the data in a database. Now, you can choose any of the databases that you see over here. These are the most popular databases. First of all, you learn one type of database. So basically, databases are of certain types like SQL databases and NoSQL databases, right? These are the types. I'm not going to go deep into these types of database. SQL database just means that it contains structured data, like as a table format, data will be there. And NoSQL databases contains unstructured data, like files and Excel sheets, whatever, PDFs, that kind of stuff. Now, for example, you take MySQL, you start with MySQL, right? And you take this SQL database and you learn. Now you know how to store the data, right? If you have any questions, you can please put it in the chat space. I'll just have a look at it and answer it whenever I get the time. Now, third step. Now you learned the database. Now you learned the language that you need. The third step is to choose a framework where you will use the language. Now, I assume that you start by being a backend developer. You start the path of being a backend developer, and dhire dhire you go towards the front end as well. Now, for example, you chose Java. Java is a general purpose language, right? You can write basic code, simple code with it. What about creating web applications, backend applications, which will handle all your data, whatever. Like you have a lot of stuff over there. So you need to have a framework. A framework कुछ भी नहीं, अभी आपको मैं बताता हूँ, like an example देता हूँ, right? You have a car. अगर आपको कार चलानी है, if you want to just drive the car, what you need? You need an engine. Now that engine is this general purpose language like Java that you have learned. Now just by using the engine, आप कहीं जा सकते हैं क्या? Like for example, you have to travel from your home to another place. For that, you need the complete car. You cannot just travel from your home to another place by using the engine. Engine is what powers the car. But you cannot sit on an engine of बैठ के वो थोड़ी निकल जाओगे engine पे. So you need a framework which will use the general purposing language, whatever you have choose, and that framework will help you to create your application. Now there are a lot of backend frameworks out there. For example, if you have chosen Java, then you can go with Spring Boot framework. Spring Boot is a Java-based framework. For example, if you have chosen Python, you can go with Django framework. For example, if you have chosen the language as Ruby, you can go this Ruby on Rails framework. Similarly, if you have chosen C#, then you can go with ASP.NET framework. So these are the frameworks which will help you to create that application in a very easy manner and in a very structured manner, right? Okay. Second, so we are done with the one side of the development, that is the backend development. Now you have learned the general purpose language, you have learned the database, and then you have gone through the framework, which is Spring Boot. अब आते हैं front end की तरफ, because you want to be a full stack developer, right? With a specialty as a backend developer. Now, secondly, now you start with basic HTML and CSS. Because if you want to, अगर आपको कोई web page design करना है, for example, then you have to know what is HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. A very common term that you will see. You will use this particular language to create the web pages. Right? Whatever web page you want to create, you can create it using HTML. What is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Now, this particular thing, CSS, is used to beautify your web page. For example, you have a web page. अभी उसको थोड़ा decorate करना है. You have to decorate that web page so that वो दिखने को अच्छा लगे. It should be beautiful to see. Otherwise, the user will not be happy with it. Right? So that's why you will need HTML with CSS. I'm not getting deeper into these topics because I'm just telling you what is the roadmap. अभी अगर मैं start getting in depth into all these topics, guys, it will take a lot of time. It will waste your time as well as my time, and the entire point of this particular session will not be conveyed. Okay, let's go to the next step. So next step is learning JavaScript and then TypeScript. अब देखो, अभी HTML plus CSS, you have created a web page. For example, you have used HTML plus CSS and you created a web page. That web page has a form. जैसे आप कोई website पे जाते हो, you go to a website and you see one form over there, a registration form, for example. The registration form will have certain fields, name, age, birth date, country, whatever, and then there is this submit button. Now you have created this HTML and CSS page. Now, what about the actions that the user performs on this particular page? What if someone clicks on this particular submit button? It should do something, right? So whenever the user clicks on the submit button, it should take the data from the form and it should store that data somewhere in the database. Right? It's pretty simple to understand. You take the data and you store it somewhere, right? Now, this JavaScript will help you for this interaction. Like what will happen if someone clicks on the submit button? That kind of stuff will be handled by this JavaScript and TypeScript. Right? If HTML and CSS is for creating the web page, creating the web page, and so JavaScript is for handling the components of the web page. कि अगर मैं जाऊं कोई बटन पे क्लिक किया, if I click on a button, I go and I scroll to the bottom and click on some link. What should happen in that case? All those things will be handled by JavaScript. Okay, I hope that is making sense. Now, step number 6. Now you learned, जैसे हमने backend development में you learned a general purpose language, and then you learned this language, right? Then you learned a framework where you can use the general purpose language and create a backend application. Similarly, front-end side also, we have frameworks which will help you to create the front-end application. जो कि आप browser में जाके कोई भी URL आप hit करते हैं, then you see a web page. That is your front-end application. Now, there are a lot of frameworks that you can use for this front-end applications. One of the all most popular frameworks that we have is React, then Angular, and these are also, and Vue.js also is a little bit popular. And all these frameworks use JavaScript as their base. जैसे हमने Spring Boot देखा था, we saw Spring Boot as the backend framework and its base was Java. Similarly, for React or Angular, whatever frameworks you choose, JavaScript is the base language. I hope that is making sense, guys. Right? Okay. Let me check if I have any questions. Just take a 10 seconds break and check if you have any questions. Okay, Sandeep Yadav has asked how much time it takes to become a full stack developer. See, I told you, right? It depends on you. But if I have to tell you that how much time it requires, then I would say about, if you do it diligently, right, then basically it can take from anywhere around 6 months to 8 months. I'm also including, the projects, the side projects that you will do with that. Yes, React.js is a framework of JavaScript. It is a front-end framework. If you want to be a front-end developer as well, you have to learn that. Okay. All right. So we chose a front-end framework right now, and that's now you form a stack. अब ये stack कैसे formation करें? You chose a general purpose language like Java, and for the backend framework, you chose Spring Boot. Then you chose a front-end language called JavaScript, and from that you chose Angular as your front-end framework. Now you are a Angular, you are a Java backend developer with Angular. This is for your backend, this is for your front-end. This is a full stack Java developer. This is the stack. This is the Java stack. This is what I am. I am a Spring Boot developer, backend developer Java, and I am an Angular developer as a front end. So I am a Java stack, full stack developer. Now, abhi aap bologe ki nahi, I don't want to be a Java full stack developer. That is also fine. That is also completely fine. Now, for example, you have chosen JavaScript. You have chosen the general purpose language as JavaScript. Now, from JavaScript backend, you can use Express.js for the backend. That will be your backend. And for front end also, you'll use JavaScript. You are going to use, for example, Angular as your front end. This will make you a full stack JavaScript developer, or this is also known as a mean stack developer. अब ये mean क्या मतलब होता है? M stands for MongoDB, E stands for Express.js, which is the backend, A stands for Angular, and N stands for Node.js. Basically, the environment. So you for database के लिए आपने MongoDB पढ़ा, you learned MongoDB for the database. For the backend part, you have learned Express.js. For front end, you have learned Angular, and for the environment, you have learned Node.js. Okay, अब ये एक ही जगह बस R डाल दो. This will be MERN stack. Instead of Angular, you have learned React. That's it. So both of these stacks, this Java stack, this mean stack, and this MERN stack, these are all in high demand days. High demand. Companies are looking for Java full stack developers, mean stack developers, and MERN stack developers. So in my suggestion, if you want to start from some language, start with either Java or JavaScript. Now, अगर आप Java से शुरू करते हैं, then आपको JavaScript वैसे भी समझना पड़ेगा. You have to learn JavaScript as well for the front end. But if you want to keep JavaScript in both front end and back end, then you can learn either mean stack or MERN stack. Okay. Now, apart from these three stacks, this .NET stack is also very popular. Not that much popular, but still some companies also hire. And .NET stack has the general purpose language of C#. Okay. So in my opinion, you start with either Java or mean or MERN. .NET is actually very specific to companies. So this will not be very beneficial for you in my opinion. If you want to start with something, then start with Java, mean or MERN stacks. Okay. Now, still the journey is still not complete. Now you have a complete application, both front end and back end you have. Now, where will you deploy the application? Deploy का मतलब क्या होता है? Abhi, you have created a web page, web application, and you're currently running it locally on your own laptop. Whenever you create a web application, you do not just create for yourself, right? You are creating that for the public. Now, you have to deploy that app somewhere, right? So that the public, in some server you have to deploy so that the public will be able to access it, or the customers. So Docker is one mechanism that you can use to deploy your application. Got it? And another very important thing that you need to know is GitHub. GitHub is used for versioning. Now, what is versioning? Abhi dekho, for example, you have joined one company and there are 5 members in your company. A, B, C, D. A first member, second member, third member, fourth member, and fifth member. All of these members are working on a same project. Project 1. Right? Now, A is also making changes on the same project. B is also making changes on the same project. C is also making, D is also making, and E is also making changes on the same project. Now, if you do not have an application or some way of handling all of these changes from all of these team members, then it will be a disaster. You will not have a track of who made what changes. So you need to have some kind of a versioning tool to keep track of all the changes of your employees or of your team members. It will help you in developing the application faster and also very much of, it will keep track of all the changes. So agar kahin par galti bhi hota hai, if you make some mistake, you still have a way to go back or revert it back. Okay, so GitHub and Docker, please guys, people actually, a lot people neglect
Hi
this
Akash.
thing.
Hello.
Yeah, someone said something. Have you put your question in the chat? Okay.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
saying your screen is not visible. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think all these things I have already told, as you guys have heard. So JavaScript, and then choose a front-end framework, and then form a stack, right? And then we were discussing about Git and GitHub. Like, why do you need GitHub as well as Docker? You need Docker to deploy your application and GitHub for version control. Okay. Now, this is a very important thing in today's programming world is the usage of cloud and Gen AI. Why? Because see, we have discussed so many steps, right? From creation of the application to deployment, we have discussed a lot of steps. Now, using a cloud-based, service like AWS or GCP or Azure, it will help you to create your application faster, deploy them faster, and it will provide you with a lot of services which will help you. A big example later. You want to create a complete web application, right? From front end to back end. So what are the things you need for that? You need a server, right? You need a database, right? And you need some monitoring tools to monitor your application and a lot of other things, right? Now, to set up all of these things on your own, it will take a lot of time and it will also cost you a lot of money, which you do not need, because by usage of cloud services, you can provision them in an instant. I will show you an example right now, and you will see how easy it is to actually, create resources on a cloud-based service. Storage, compute, database, analytics, machine learning, right? Any kind of service that you need, you will just go to one place, just sitting on your laptop, and you will get all of those things in just one shot. Also, yeah, you have to pay some money if you use, after some limits, but still. Another thing is usage of Chat GPT or OpenAI or Gen AI, right? Now, see, the main reason. Now, I'm going to tell you one simple truth, please. I'm not going to hide it from you guys. Yes, Gen AI has affected us a lot in a good and also in a bad way. Bad way is that yes, some people are losing jobs, but the main reason people are losing jobs is that they are not upskilling themselves and they are not using Gen AI to its full extent. See, Gen AI, whatever Chat GPT cannot replace a developer. I'm telling you that because I have worked with Gen AI and I'm using it. And I have found that whenever it comes to complicated tasks, right, as a product developer, you will get complicated tasks. Whenever it comes to complicated tasks, this whatever Gen AI is, it will not be able to solve it completely. It will still have a lot of loopholes, right? And it is your job to correct them. So a particular Chat GPT or Gen AI will not take your place. But on the other hand, you can use this Gen AI to make your work faster, and writing code becomes simpler. So be intelligent, use it for its good things. Don't think that कि ये आगे अभी मेरा job चला जाएगा फिर तो job नहीं मिलेगा. I'm going to show you an example right now, and you will see how easy it is to do things using this cloud and this Chat GPT. So what I'm going to do right now, guys, is pretty simple, right? I'm going to create a very, very simple, front end application using HTML and CSS, and I'm going to deploy that application, and I'm going to do that in a matter of minutes. Want to see how I do it? Okay, let's see. So I'm going to go into the Chat GPT right now. Let me just open in an incognito window. And I'm just going to go to Chat GPT. And here I'm going to give some instructions over here. Now in Chat GPT, if you want to give some instruction, we call it as prompts. So whatever prompt you give to Chat GPT, it will give you the response, or it will do the things based on the prompts. Now I'm going to tell you here something. So I want to say, please create a attractive landing page for a travel company called Travels, right? Called Travels, using HTML and CSS, right? Yeah, I think that should be it. So you can see that it is generating the code. Now, initially, previously, what we used to do, that all this code that you see on the screen, right? We used to write this line by line and do the job, right? That was the job of a front-end developer, specific front-end developer. But now that we are getting this code, you have to use it efficiently. That's why you have to know like other things as well. You have to be skilled in other things as well. Okay, so here, okay, I don't want, I want some images as well. So I'm going to just say, okay, it's fine. For now, I'm just going to copy this things. So I'm going to open Visual Studio Code. So this is a editor which you can use to write your code. Okay. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File and I'm going to open a folder and I'm going to go to Material and there should be a Apna folder. Here I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to name it as static page. Okay, and I'm going to select this folder and open it. This is just a this is just a code editor, guys. You can use any editor of your choice. It is just good, so I'm using it. Here, I'm going to create one file known as index.html. And I'm going to go back and copy the code, the HTML code that I need. Okay. Now, I have the HTML code. Now, if you see just the HTML code, it will not look good because it doesn't have any styling to it. It will just look like this, right? So to apply the style, I'll just create another file over it. This is just basic HTML and CSS, guys. Don't worry about all of the things. I'm just showing you the power of Gen AI and ChatGPT that you can use for your own development. अभी डरना नहीं है उसे, you should not get afraid of it, but use it for your own good. So I'm going to create a CSS file called styles dot CSS, and here I'm going to just paste the CSS code that it has given me over here. So I'm just going to copy the code and I'm going to just paste it over here. Oh, sorry, I have copied the wrong code. It's the HTML code. And so if I go back over here, I just reload it. Now you can see that this is looking better, right? This is looking a little bit better over here. Here are some tabs and some stuffs over here, and this is looking a little bit better. Now see, if you have to make some changes, now you have to know where you have to make the changes. If you don't know what this body means, what this header means, what are all this specifiers means, you cannot make a specific change over here or modify this code. It is your job to check if everything is correct, and you have to modify the code accordingly, and you have to write some new code if it is required. Okay, so I have created. So how much time did it take for this to work? It took about 1 minute to generate the code and actually create this web page or this web application, simple web application. Now let us see how much time it will take to deploy the code. Now, currently, it is sitting in my local storage. So you guys cannot access this web page. But by using AWS, I can show you how you can deploy this web application or this web page in a matter of minutes. So for saving your time, I have already in this AWS console. So you can create your a simple AWS account by using your credit card. It will not charge you guys. First of all, paise nahi lagenge. I'm telling you, you will get free tier AWS up to 1 year So some services of AWS are free for 1 year. So make sure you don't use it over the limits. अगर आप over the limits use करेंगे, then it may charge you. But if you use under the free tier limits, बार बार बोल रहा हूँ, if you use under the free tier limits, it will not charge you. Okay, if you want to try this out, you can try it out. So I'm going to sign in into the console. So what I'll go is I'm going to use one of the services of S3, which is the storage service, right? Amazon has, AWS has a lot of services guys to offer, and one of the services that I'm going to use is the storage service to store my application, and then I'm going to deploy it. So that storage service is known as S3. So I'm going to go into S3. And I'm going to create a bucket over it. I'm just going to name this bucket like static web page, something like that. Don't worry about all this settings, guys. I'm just unchecking this so that I want this web page to be accessible by the public or the customer. So I'm just unchecking this box so that it will be accessed publicly. All the other things I don't want to touch. I'll just create the bucket for now. Bucket is nothing but like a folder which you will use to store your files. Okay, so I've created this bucket. Now, a simple thing I will do is I'll go inside my bucket and I'm going to upload the files. अभी आप इसको Google Drive जैसा भी आप compare कर सकते हैं, right? So I'm going to add these two files into my bucket and I'm going to upload them. Okay, this has succeeded. Now I'll close the things. Now I need to give some permissions over here so that the website is accessible. So don't worry about that, guys. I'll just generate the permissions. This is not a AWS tutorial or something. I'm just showing you how all these things can make your life easier. So leverage all of the things that are provided to you. So I need a bucket policy. So I will go to edit over here and I'll just go to policy generator and generate a policy. Bucket policy allow all actions and the resource name I'll just gonna copy it from and statement and then generate policy. Okay, this is the policy. We could copy this. Okay. Let's start. Okay, I'm going to save the changes and I just need to do one more thing, guys. I need to enable the static website hosting. And I'm just going to enable it. Index document is index.html, that file that we just uploaded. And I'm going to save the changes over here. I mean, that's it. So if you go to this link now, see now this website is hosted on AWS, guys. How much time it took? I think I started at 7:38 of creating this web page. I created this web page, did all the styling, and then I deployed this particular web page to a website, web server, you can say, or to AWS. Now, if you want to access, you can also access the web page by using this URL that I just sent over in the chat. So this is the power of Gen AI and cloud computing, guys, which you can use for your development, for your full stack development. So it is very important that you know all of these things. Okay. All right. Now let's continue. There are some little things left. We're going to just finish them up and then we're going to go into the question and answer section where you can ask me the questions. Now, what are the career paths that you can take, right? for after you have learned all these things, whatever I have told, what are the career paths you can take in this? You can go for either a front end or a back end developer or a full stack developer. It's up to you. I mean, अभी आपने full stack developer बन गए तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं है. It doesn't mean you have to apply to full stack developer roles only. As you know all of the things, you can apply to either front end or a back end developer wherever the job posting is. Read it carefully and based on that, apply for it if you want. Second is DevOps engineer. Like if you are very much of skilled in this GitHub, Docker, all of these things, Kubernetes, whatever, you can also go for a DevOps engineer as well. Software consultant roles. Generally, the software consultant roles are very much popular in this. See, front end, back end developers are popular in product based companies. For example, Microsoft, Google, SAP, Facebook, these kind of stuff. DevOps engineers can go to these are popular. I'm saying doesn't mean that Infosys, Cognizant, Capgemini don't hire product developers or front end or back end developers, but it is more popular there. Software consultant, generally it is more popular in service-based companies like Infosys, Cognizant, Capgemini, whatever. And it is also popular in Big Four companies. Big Four companies में कौन आता है? For example, this KPMG, maybe that is also what we have Deloitte. Then we have two more companies, PwC,
JP Morgan.
Yeah, JP Morgan. Big Four में आता है क्या? I think it comes in Big Two, whatever. But JP Morgan is also a consultant company, so it can also come. Right? So these kind of companies go for software consultants and all this kind of stuff. Then comes cloud engineer. Cloud engineer are nowadays very popular in this age of Gen AI and cloud computing. Cloud engineer are hired by all of these companies, guys. Whatever company job portal you open, there must be some job posting related to cloud engineer. Then comes the internship. अगर कोई college में पढ़ रहा है, someone is a college or something, you can go for an intern role as well. So these are the career paths. You can use this as keywords as well. Keywords to search for the job postings. Okay, आपका keywords जो होता है, you don't constrict it कि मुझे सिर्फ developer बनना नहीं. अभी companies को सब चाहिए. So if you know the things, it's better to apply for broader positions. Now interview tips. अभी इतना सारा आपने पढ़ लिया. You have learned all of these things. What interview if you for a developer or a cloud engineer or a software consultant? What are the interview tips, guys? First of all, good understanding of the general purpose language. It's very, very important. And I have experienced this when I take interviews as well, that there is a guy called Ramesh, right? It's a fictional name. If someone's name is Ramesh, please don't get offended. So he comes and say, I'm a backend developer with 6+ years of experience in Java, Spring Boot, database, DevOps, all the things. Then I ask him a very simple question. What is inheritance in Java? What does he say? I don't know. I don't know that basics of Java, but I have developed web application. How will I believe? Tell me. How will I believe that if you don't know the basics, you have developed application? How are you a reliable person if you the basic? अभी आपको you don't know ABCD, but you are saying I've done honors in physics. That doesn't make sense, right? So always make sure that whatever general purpose language you have choose, like Java, JavaScript, whatever, all the basic concepts are clear, core concepts. Decent knowledge in data structures and algorithms. Why have I written decent, but I haven't written like very much knowledge or very good knowledge on data structures? The reason being is that this will constitute some part of your interview. Now, this will constitute a major part of your interview if you are going for very big product-based companies like Google, Amazon, and all those things. But I am assuming you are preparing overall. Overall, for a company, if you are preparing, this might be 25% of your interview or even 20% of your interview. 20% of your interview might be also be just the general purpose language. So if you have decent knowledge, like you know stacks, you know queues, you know linked lists, it's okay if you don't know trees and graphs. Thoda thoda nahi aata, but if you have some idea, that is also fine. So decent knowledge in data structures and algorithms is necessary. System design पे थोड़ा सा decent knowledge होना जरूरी. If you are a fresher, then you don't might not be needing that much. But if you are a little bit experienced, I suggest you also go for system design, because anyone can ask the question, what is a singleton pattern or what is a builder pattern? All of these pattern based questions will be asked. So maybe 20% that also you can. Knowledge about the stack and use whatever projects you have done. Like you are a MERN stack developer or a mean stack developer, front end, back end developer, and whatever projects have you done, this will also constitute maybe 20% of your interview. Cloud and Gen AI knowledge, nowadays it is mandatory. 20% to 30% questions are being asked on cloud and chat GPT, Gen AI, all those things. So you should have basic knowledge of all these things, guys. So see, you follow all these things. Abhi usko upar or whatever you do, it's your own merit. But these are the things that you must consider before sitting on a job interview. Okay, I hope that is making sense. Some guidance I want to tell you. Key before sitting on the interview, you have to be selected for the job. Your resume will be scrutinized and your resume will be selected based on certain criteria. And some of the things people ignore, which actually makes a lot of impact. Nowadays, अभी मैं आपको बता देता हूँ, resume shortlist is an automated process. Okay, they themselves use some kind of a Gen AI tool or AI tool to shortlist the resumes, right? Now, if you do not have a resume in a structured format or it is not good, then what will be, how will they shortlist you and how will you get the interview call? Can anyone tell me what is the maximum size of a resume? A good resume, how long it should be? Can anyone tell me?
5 MB, 5 to 10.
Oh, that is MB you have told in this size, like this size. I'm talking about pages. How many pages?
Experience for, I don't know, but for fresher, 2 pages.
2 to 3 pages, guys.
Yeah.
2 to 3 pages. Even for experienced, also, I'm suggesting 2 pages. Or maximum, if you have a lot of achievements, then go for 3 pages. So, in your mind, you should make a 2-page resume. This is the most fastest way. Or if you have more things to write, then maximum go for 3 pages. Because if you go beyond 3 pages, no fresher, no experience, no one will get selected. I'm telling you, because they have some automated process, and if exceeds certain number of pages, it will not only accept it. Right? How will they scrutinize it? Okay, so that is the resume thing. Update your LinkedIn and other profiles, guys. See, सब लोग जाते हैं इंस्टाग्राम पे अपना प्रोफाइल फोटो अपलोड करते हैं, सब कुछ करते हैं, ठीक है, उसको ज्यादा प्रायोरिटी देते हैं, रील्स देखते हैं, करते हैं, वो करते हैं. आई हैव नो इश्यू विद दैट, बट प्लीज अपडेट योर लिंक्डइन, गाइस. मेंशन ईच एंड एवरीथिंग दैट यू हैव डन ऑन योर लिंक्डइन. अभी लिंक्डइन पे जो पोस्ट आता है, lot of people think that if I get an achievement, then only I have to post something. No, post even the smallest of smallest things. You have attended a workshop. For example, today you attended this workshop. Post about it on LinkedIn that, okay, I have learned about all these things. Update your skills on LinkedIn. Create networking. Connection requests भेजो, जितना हो सकता है भेजो. Expand your network on LinkedIn. Seek referrals. Don't be shy to ask for a referral. But referral ask करने का भी एक तरीका होता है. First, whatever company you want a referral in, first For example, you want a referral in Amazon, for example. You go to the job page and you search the job that you need, link. Take the link and keep it with you. Go to LinkedIn, search for Amazon employees, connect with them, start with a greeting, and be to the point. इधर उधर का बात नहीं करके be to the point, ask for a referral and give this link so that they can directly see what it is and they can act on it. Don't go and send a connection request and say that, sir, give me a referral in your company. How will I give a referral if I don't know to which job I need to give the referral to? That is very annoying, guys. So be to the point, do your research first, and then approach any employee or something for a referral. Don't be shy for it. Please go for it. It will help you to get the interview call. Give mock interviews. If you have a friend or you have subscribed to some course where they provide mock interviews, whatever, please give mock interviews. And whenever you are giving mock interviews, make the questions as hardest. Like whoever, if your friend is taking your mock interview, ask the person to ask hard questions or tough questions so that it will give you the confidence to appear for the real interview. As I told, demonstrate your achievements on LinkedIn or any social media platform. Improve your CV and cover letters. See, cover letters are very, very important, guys. A lot of people ignore this cover letter section because they say, I have uploaded the resume, I don't need cover letter. No, a cover letter is just a half page file, a half page document or a single paragraph document which will summarize all of your achievements, whatever your experience is. It's very important because whenever a HR is scrutinizing a resume, they might look on the cover letter first and see, okay, your cover letter will say 5 years of experience. That might be their first criteria. And if they don't have the cover letter, they might have to search in your resume, which will take a lot of time. Right? So make sure you have a decent cover letter. And if you are a student, प्लीज यूटिलाइज योर ऑन कैंपस अपॉर्चुनिटीज, ऑन कैंपस प्लेसमेंट्स जितने भी आते हैं, कोई भी कंपनी हो. I myself, I am from a tier 2 city, and also I'm not from IIT or NIT or some fancy college. Okay, I have worked my way. I had received a on campus job, very low paying job, but I worked on my skills and then I switched jobs, right? That's how you do it. It all depends on your job, your skills and how you approach while you go for job hunting. See, it is difficult. मैं बोल नहीं रहा हूँ कि आसान काम है, ठीक है. अब मैं किसी को भी बोलता नहीं हूँ कि like this is a very easy job, but if you follow these steps, it will make your life easier. Okay, that's it about my presentation, guys. If you have any questions, I am now opening the Q&A section right now. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I'm done with the session, guys.
Yeah. Yes, Akash. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. I believe everyone has found this session useful, and we were able to, cover up things that you were looking out for. I have shared the website address in the chat. You can find the recording of this session also of the previous sessions. We have 3 more minutes left. Let's make you make the session useful. Also, Akash is here with us. If you have any queries which is related to the topic or anything that he has explained, please ask him. We just have 2 minutes left. If anyone has anything, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask the questions. किसी के पास अगर कोई भी सवाल है तो आप आकाश से पूछ सकते हैं. अगर आपको कुछ समझ में नहीं आया है सेशन में, कुछ भी जो भी सिखाया गया हो उससे रिलेटेड अगर कुछ भी है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं डायरेक्टली, या फिर आप हेसिटेट कर रहे हैं पूछने के लिए तो आप चैट बॉक्स में डाल दीजिए, हम एड्रेस करेंगे उसको.
Any real time experience share?
Sorry, real time experience in what you're saying?
You mean projects in any projects?
Okay.
I'm sure.
Okay, real-time experience and projects. Yes. So if you are a working professional, guys, you already have, uh, some experience in project. But if you want to do, first of all, you learn all these things that I have told you. Secondly, uh, you can go for some personal projects, right? You can create some personal projects on your own, and you can actually showcase it that okay, this is my project. And whatever project you are doing, don't do it straightforward. uh, Innovate something. For example, you did a personal project for hospital management system. Now there are a lot of applications which uh, are which do this hospital management system, right? So what new thing you did in that project? This will be the question of the interviewer. um, so basically, what you can do, you can integrate, for example, this chat GPT into your application. Okay. So for example, if the customers or the patients have some query, they can ask it through your portal on chat GPT or any kind of other stuff, right? So you try to innovate your project a little bit. That will help.
Any more question, guys?
Nabarkar Roy says, can you please show again how to deploy? I think yeah, you will get the recording of this lecture, right? Sneha, they will get it, right? They can refer it later. Just go to the same thing. You can do it on your own.
Right. The recording will be uploaded in the website. I have already shared it in the chat box, so you can go and refer it there. Any more question, guys? If there's any, we can take it. Else, we'll conclude the session. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in and being so patient. Uh, so we'll be having the session again tomorrow at 7 p.m. You can join in. We hope to see you again there. Thank you, Akash. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Bye bye.